Hey guys! Okay, I just wanted to start this out by saying I'm using this French Farm, French Flea Market, that's it. Julie Nutting's French Flea Market. And it's a collection pack. There's 13 pieces in it. And it's got the sticker sheet, and one of the 12 pages has the card set on it. So yeah, I'm kind of limited, and I did end up using a piece of this paper, but it's a nice cardstock. So anyway, here it is. This is what I've created. You guys had requested that I do a mini album with this piece, so this is what I've done here. I've got my little, it's called Hello Gorgeous, and I've got just a little simple ruffle, and both front and back, and I did sign it. But here's the little dress form. That's a Tim Holtz dress form, and I've got a little, I think it's Tim Holtz Charm, the number 5, and I put some glitter in the number 5, and papered the dress form, and then just made the little dress. I colored these little roses here with my Copic markers to kind of match the colors of the roses on the paper, so you can see there. And that bottom piece is a brooch, and you know, just bits and pieces from my stash basically. And so I hope you like the front of that. I just put a yeah, what do you call those things? Jump rings, and just hooked it to the lace right there. So that, I just thought that was kind of cool. And then I've got a little clock back behind the rose there. It's just a watch face from a watch that I took apart, so it's just stuff I had in my stash. And then that's the little Tim Holtz hitch fastener, and then just some seam binding holding it closed. And yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure that's Tim Holtz too. I think Timmy had a lot to do with this album. Okay, so let's get started here. I just loved working with this paper. It was really super fun, and I hope that you guys really like this. So, and it's just cards and envelopes, and I do have the tutorial to follow, but this is a card, and I've just put the paper on it, and then have these two little die cuts from the paper line. I collaged inside here, and that's where I cut the dress form out of, and I put some lace and then a piece of dictionary paper I had in there, so it just gives it a little bit of interest. And of course I got lace on the pages. Excuse me, you know I love the lace. But I just thought that was really pretty cool, and a great way to use my scraps up. This is one of the cards from the collection, and then these are just stickers, and all of the stickers I backed on craft cardstock. I got a little piece of glue on my thumb. I cannot stand random pieces of glue on my fingers. It drives me nuts. Anyway, now this is one of those postcards that I got from Recollections Michaels, and I thought it looked pretty nice, so I used that. I think I used 2 of those postcards I got. But in the materials list, I, you know, go over the stuff that I have. I think that's in there. And this is just a random little piece of paper. I tri-folded it and put some mats in there for pictures. I've got a nice pocket here, and I've got 2 tags in it. One's backed on the cardstock, and just a little plethora of items down at the bottom here. Now this is where all of the envelopes are used. There's a nice pocket. Oh, had that in backwards, or upside down I should say. And this paper is just beautiful. Now that pink is not in the collection. That's one from my stash. And and then some of the papers are actually leftovers from when I did the Vintage Girl. I did a photo folio with the Vintage Girl, so I used some of that paper as well. And then there's a nice tag made out of the another piece of paper that I added to this collection from my stash. Okay, and then I've got a little sideways pocket. Oh, let me get that in straight. Actually goes in pretty easily. There we go. This is another sticker from the collection, and I've got some velvet ribbon in there that I thought looked really nice. And of course I left the tops open so that you could fit photos in. Another tea pocket, which I love using the tea pockets, but I always forget about them. But so it was nice to get one of those. Oh, and then sorry you didn't really see that. I wasn't paying attention. But you know, left pretty much everything where you could get pictures in it. And there's another, and I put eyelets on some of the pieces. Now this is a piece here that's holding a flap open. And good, well, I show you this one. Yay. Hello, gorgeous. I tried to, every time I could, get that in there. And that's another one of those cards from Recollections with the dragonfly on there. And then that just goes in there and holds that flap shut. Oops, there we go. Now this is a piece from the collection, and I just kept them all together. And then you can journal or put photographs in there, whatever you want, and the photograph will fit underneath. Oh, I have to glue that down. It got a little dinged up there, and yeah, and then this just ties up, but I'll tie it later. Another side pocket. I love doing these little corner pockets, and I go over in the tutorial how I do all of this stuff. And that one is so cute. It says, "And I think to myself, what a wonderful world." And I just love that. That was my favorite of the whole collection. And then there's the little collage tag. I was getting really low on paper, and both of those sheets are pieces that I've added from my stash. And that little bird is actually from Vintage Girl. It's backed on black because I did all of that stuff on black, but I thought it looked alright because there's black in the pink paper there, so we were good. And so then that's pretty left thin so that you've got room for your pictures. And then I collaged a little bit on that one. Well, I don't collage, but I pieced pieces together. You know, these will hold 5x7s as well as 4x6s, so you've got lots of room for pictures. Lots of room for pictures. And then just a little tuck spot, and I've got 3 tags in there, and some nice ribbon. And then those are just some more of the pieces that were in the collection. And then there's a nice spread for you. You could actually work this like a scrapbook. You could actually, you know, those 3 pages opened up could be like one big scene for you. So they're pretty cool. And then here's another tuck spot. Hello, gorgeous again. Try and use that. And I love that little bicycle. It was hard trying to figure out where I was going to put that sucker, but I found a place. And the butterfly. And then here is my last corner pocket, and this is a booklet that I just had some leftovers, so I said I can do this. More places, and you can get your 4x6s in there. And then this is the inside back cover, and I used 3 of the tags to make a pocket, and then you've got 2 more tags, and yeah. And they're sealed at the bottom, and you can put a picture right there. And then those just set right back in there very nicely. And then you can open this side. And there's the French Flea Market. That's the part of the front cover page that I used. Ta-da! I couldn't resist. I thought it was really, really pretty. And then you close this up and it opens up this way. And there's another of my collage pages. And I just added little bits because the page was too short, but I added little bits to the top and the bottom. And then it opens up more. So you have, and I just created this collage pages separated out enough so it wasn't super busy. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy this. This is going to be in my Etsy. Also, I got a tutorial. If you hang tight, it's going to start. I'll go over all the materials you're going to need. Thanks. Okay, so hang on and we'll be right started off getting on this thing, and woo! Let's do it, girls! And honestly, it's been such a long time. I just have enjoyed this so much, and you guys are so wonderful and so kind, and I don't know what to say. This has been an amazing ride for me, and I want to thank you guys so much. Okay, so we're just gonna keep moving forward. I'm gonna keep making stuff, and I hope that you guys will stay with me for this ride. Okay, well, I honestly, this has been a while since I've done this one. I cannot honestly tell you what I'm talking about. But I am going on and on and on. And psst, I must be telling you guys off or something, because I got that finger going. Oh, okay. And give me a thumbs up, guys. Make sure you give me a thumbs up. Well, I said goodbye now, and I'm still pointing that finger at you. Okay. Okay. Yes, let's move on. Alright, here we go. I had to do this voiceover, so I'm sorry, guys, because the sound didn't come through for some reason. So anyway, this is what we start out with for making this album. This is the French Flea Market by Photoplay, and I'm explaining here that for some reason this cover sheet is actually cardstock, and maybe it's Julie Nutting requested it specifically, but all of the other, I had 3 other packs that I've done with. They were very thin, like super thin copy paper, and there was a cover, like a waxy, very shiny front to it. This is actual cardstock, and it's just regular like any other cardstock. So it might have a little bit of a sheen to it, but oh my gosh, it's so totally usable stuff there. Now I backed all these yumminess stickers onto craft. I just pulled every one of them off and stuck them on a 12 by 12 craft sheet and then cut them out. Now this is a piece of paper that has this pattern on one side, which I thought I was going to use, but I didn't end up using that side of it. The other side is like a beautiful, absolutely perfect match of a cream color. Now this is David Tutera's A7 cards. Any A7 card will, any cards and envelopes, you just deal with whatever size you've got, but these are the A7, which is like the 5 by 7. Okay, so the cards are 5 by 7, the envelopes are 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. So you can even make your own envelopes and your own cards with cardstock. So, don't let that stop you. Alright, and now these are the 12 sheets of paper you get. And this is the one sheet that I'm going to pull out. So I only have 11, and I do end up adding some things, and I show you throughout what I end up adding. But this is the sheet that I'm going to put off to the side so that I have, a set of those. And if I don't put them off to the side, I'll end up cutting them. So we all have done that. Now this is what was left from the Vintage Girls. Not much, but the colors, a lot of them, not all of them, but the colors still work. The music paper works wonderfully. That black paper, see, the green side doesn't work, but that side with the pinks I used in this album. So I will be incorporating this because I know I'm not going to have enough with what I've got in mind. And wow, my hands are just going to town. And I don't know. I don't know why I talk with my hands so much when I'm on the videos. Okay, now we have 2 sheets. Now this is really thick, but this was from Recollections. You know, those boards that you get. Oh my gosh. Anyway, and I've got the David Tutera cards. So again, just 5x7 cards, and I think I end up using 3 of the cards for the book, and then I used more of the cards for pockets and tags and that kind of thing. So we're going to get started here. I got my little scoreboard and pulling one of the cards out. I'm going to flip this sucker around here so I can actually get it easier. All you right-handed people, this is a really cool trick to do instead of trying to hold it the other way. And I'm giving it a 1/2 inch score mark on either side. It doesn't matter, but a 1/2 inch score mark, and it's going to make one of the envelope sides, one of the card sides shorter than the other one by a 1/2 inch. And the 1/2 inch that we're doing is our binding system. That's what's going to be glued down, and you do want to make sure that they're straight when you're folding them, that each piece is lines up on both top and bottom. Okay, yeah, and we're going to use a total of 3. I was trying to figure out what I remembered that I was doing there. 1, 2, 3. I can count. It's pretty amazing. Okay, and these cards are if you find David Tutera stuff, these cards are really nice. They're not flimsy at all. So I pick up his stuff anytime I can. Okay, so there's number 2 done, and then we're going to get 1 more here. And I pretty much am going to be doing this step by step for you guys, and I don't do very much at all off camera. So if you're just starting out, this is probably a really good tutorial for you to watch, because I do kind of do it step by step throughout. Now, not all of them are voiceover because the rest of my videos all worked, but for some reason this one didn't. So I am pulling out 4 envelopes 2 times. So I have 2 sets of 4. And we're going to do a little bit of so there's a total in this book of 5 pages, and 1 page is consisting of 4 envelopes, so I'll have 2 of those. Okay, so we're going to get started here, and we're going to seal these envelopes just where the envelopes hit. I don't want to seal, because they're going to be used as pockets, so I do not want to seal the opening. So it's just the part of the flap that is going to hit the outside of the envelope. And then we're going to seal that nicely. We're going to do that. I can't remember if I do that to, I don't think I do it to all of them, so let's just hang tight here. Oh, I got a little bit on the inside flap, and you definitely don't want that. So be really careful that you don't put too much glue in this area, because yeah, just on that little gluey stuff, and then down the sides, which really you're already doing it down the sides, so you don't have to do that. Okay. Ooh, I love to rub that glue around, don't I? the more you rub, the less you're going to see of the glue because you're really flattening it out. Okay, now this one, I am going to actually take it apart. And this little tool that I'm using is a Cricut spatula to get the pieces off the sticky sheet that runs through the machine. And I'm just making sure here that I'm not ripping. Oh, no, no, no. I thought I did take one of these apart, but I think I figured out a better way of doing it, although I'm trying to do it with two, and if I remember correctly, it didn't work very well. So, there goes my thinking fingers. I had a, that little white envelope that I just pulled out was my mock-up before doing these. They came apart really easy, but this David Tutero did not, and that is how thick this David Tutero stuff is. So there's two envelopes there, and I cannot get my cutter to go through them. So I'm going to be pulling one out, which I'll have to cut off, and then it goes through. But that's how thick these suckers are. So I knew that I had 1/4 of an inch to be able to play with here, and I'm just lining that up so I can get the rest of that off. There you go. Giving myself a nice clean crisp line there. Okay, but I knew, and you see here now I don't have to rip the paper off, and I'm just going to trim that little edge off. So now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And I'm just getting like a 1/16 of an inch off just to open the envelope up. And here this one wasn't coming off because I hadn't used the spatula on it, but there you go. There's a nice opened up envelope, and I didn't have to spatulize anything. There's a new word, spatulize. Oh my goodness, I tell you. Okay, and we're gonna again cut these little jobbies off. Okay, and we've got two of those. So we've got two that we have totally sealed and two that we have totally opened up. Now we're going to do the same thing, but to all three sides other than the side that we sealed. Okay, so we're just pulling off basically the fold part on all three sides. So we'll open this up, and it just opens up like a book. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, and we're going to do the same thing with this one. So far, pretty stinking easy. But putting it all together, it really comes out neat, and you know, most of the work's done for you because now you have your 5 pages other than just a few little gluing pieces. So there's another page, and then we're going to do the same thing one more time. Let me clean up my mess here. Alright, so we're going to seal 2. Squiggle, 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 squiggle. Whoop. And again, it's kind of overkill to put it on the sides there, but I guess I keep doing it. And then while these are drying, I will work on the other 2 envelopes. and then we'll be able to come back and cut these. All 3 sides. I love this little Fiskars cutter. It works very nicely. And there I don't cut on that side. So now I gotta go in and get another one. So these are only cut on 2 sides. The ones that we didn't seal. See, this is one of the open ones. We only cut it on the 2 short ends, not the long end. I got carried away. No, no, no. Yes. I don't know, this cutter has never been a problem, but I tell you, these cards and envelopes are very thick. I was quite pleased with the quality of his stuff. I have some of his white envelopes that I put with cards, like the A2 size, and I just stumbled across these one day and I grabbed them up. I was glad I did. Alright, then we're just going to cut off these little tabby parts. And we have our pages ready to go there. And now we're going to take the sealed ones and we're going to cut all 3 sides. So the 2 that aren't sealed gets the 2 short sides done, and the 2 that are sealed gets all 3 sides other than the sealed, other than the flap side. And then that way we will have all our pages ready to go, and we'll start putting the envelope pages together. And again, we're just cutting off just enough to get it to open up. There we go. Ta-da! And I was pretty pleased. I got them all to be pretty much the same size, so I was pretty pleased with that. Clean up my mess. Clean up my mess. Okay. Now, we've got all 3 pages ready, and we've got our two sets of 4. So what we're going to do is we've got our 2 book open type of sheets, and then our trifold type. Now we're getting our scoreboard back out. We're going to put, there we go, going to open it up, and now it's not completely flat, but what I'm looking for it's a 1/2 inch. There you go. Okay, now that is my what I'm going to be putting on the this is my base page, so that 1/2 inch flap right there, and I'm reinforcing it by folding the envelope back onto itself over that flap. That is my hinge. So that's going to hinge the whole system down. And this part is going to, well, you'll see. But so there's my hinge right there. That is my hinge. Yeah, let me go ahead and fold this. There we go. So that's the part that's going to go on the book. So now we're going to get the other trifold piece. I'm going to fold this back onto itself. So now it's, yeah, okay, here we go. I got to figure it out here, what I was going to do. I was going to start by doing something different, but then I decided I was going to glue both of these shorter strips together. And I want a good bit of glue on it. And actually, you know, it really looks like there's a lot of glue, but when you're sitting on top of it, it's not. And I am matching up corner to corner and side to side. Yeah, let me get this out of the way. And not really worrying about is it actually matching up, but it does. As long as you match up corner to corner and side to side. And you know what? If the flap ends up being a little more, you know, a little problem, just trim off the edges. Now this is one of the book pages, and we're taking it and just adding it to this flap, and we're going to be making a pocket. So you're only going to put glue up each side, and you could at this point put it at the fold so that you are actually closing the page, but I didn't do that, so I end up doing it later on. So there's that. And at this point, if you have it where it's too close and you can't get the flap, trim it down. And there's just a little bit of a fold bend on that envelope, so it does make it, until I get the other papers on it and stuff, it makes it a little difficult to stick your fingers on it. Alright, now we're flipping it over to the side that has this little fold on it. And now we're going to add the other book page. Yeah, I'm trying to think, do I want to do it that way, which would create a little tuck spot, but I don't. And I'm sealing it all down, so this will be covered with designer paper, some of the collection. And then I just line up top and bottom, and it's off the fold. It's right at the fold, but not, not getting into it, so because you want it to lay down nice and flat. So there is my page, and there's a lot to that page, but it's really nice, and they come out really nice in the book. I'm very pleased with them. Okay, so we're going to do it again. Got the two book pages. Oh, well, yeah, there's a book page in here somewhere. There it is. Okay, and we're going to start with one of these, and this is the, yeah, thinking fingers. I have to do my gusset first. Yeah, so we're going to get that one out. How easily we forget. Now, you're going to line up wherever it lines up. You're going to count over 4, and you're going to give yourself a 1/2 inch score mark towards the flap, not into the actual base. You want to do it towards the flap, so you're cutting, making your flap shorter. And then you're going to put a good bit of glue in, because you want this to be nice and sturdy. My tip, yes, put the pin in it, girl. There. Okay, flipping this over and giving it a nice burnish. I have got to clean that board pretty nasty, but honestly it doesn't come off anymore. I've done so many things on it. Okay, and then we're going to just burnish this again and really reinforce that we've got our hinge system there. Okay, so now we're going to take and glue the two sides together again, the two short sides. I have to remind myself what I did. Yes. So I'm making sure that the flap that the short flap that was the flap that closed the envelope is turned back on itself, and it's going to be up top so that you're gluing the correct sides together. So just pause it if you need to do this and watch how I've got everything set up. And you're going to glue these two flaps again. And see, now this time I'm not doing it the way I did it before, and it actually works better if you just line up the corners. Just line up the corners, because that's what really counts. If there's anything that doesn't quite line up, you're just going to trim it off. Okay. See, and I have to, since I didn't line up the corners, I have to do a little bit of a fold here. And if you have to, as long as it doesn't impede the hinge. So I'm just adding a little bit of a fold into this flap. And I think if you focus on just lining up the ends, you're not going to have this problem. So now we're going to take the book page, one of the book pages, I'm calling it, you know, the envelope that's sealed, and we're just going to make that pocket again. I have to remind myself, look, I just done it myself, and here I'm watching a video and I remember what I did, but I didn't remember what I did 5 minutes ago. And this is probably 2 weeks ago. Short-term memory, really a bad thing. Okay, so once we get this pocket on, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to work on this end. And just kind of fold that hinge down around the other page so we can have it to work on. I get the other page that is a book, I'm calling the book, and we're going to totally seal this. Yeah, do that little zigzag thing. Ain't it pretty? Now right up to the fold, but not in the fold, and make sure top and bottom is all lined up. If something hangs off one side or the other, trim it. Just trim it. It's just paper, girls and gentlemen. It's just paper. So now there's my 2 envelope sheets, and there's my 3 cards. Okay, so the one side is 5 by 7. Okay, and the other side is going to be, what, 4.5 by 7. So I did the 5 by 7 so you know what side is facing up when I'm doing this. And then that is the envelope. Now I'm got my big cutter out, and I'm going to make sure, because remember these envelopes were 7 1/4, and I cut off little bits, so there is a titch to be cut off. So I'm making it at 7 inches, but I'm cutting off just a little bit off both edges. I want to be able to cut down on it instead of cut up. I'm going to cut off a little bit off both edges to make sure that it's even. And that is how thick these things are, that this cutter, which cuts through lots of stuff very easily, was having problems cutting through this. I can't remember. Whoop, put it all the way up. I think I opened it up. Ta-da! Doesn't take a rocket scientist, ladies and gentlemen. It just doesn't take a rocket scientist to do this. And look, still, it is, these little suckers are thick. Okay. Did I end up doing both sides, or did I just... I'm making sure that, like, the pocket's still sealed and, there's not things hanging out. So I guess I did do one side. Like I said, I was really pleased with how well everything was lined up. So, yeah, I'm going to make sure that I pulled down on this. This cutter, I've had it now for a month, maybe, about a month. And I have been really pleased with it. Really pleased with it. It works very nicely. And because I tell you, I was so tired of getting wavy cuts, and I get nice straight cuts. If I set it up correctly and don't have it askew, I get a super nice cut. This one apparently was the one that maybe both sides were off just a little bit, so I lined it up so I could get it, or I only cut a little bit off one side and then a little bit off the other side. Oh, I tell ya. Alright, so now we've got 7 inches. I'm going to make sure that the pocket's still working. I gotta find the pocket. I don't remember where the pocket is. That's funny. Yeah, flip it around. There you go. I have it upside down. That's why I couldn't figure it out. Oh, goodness. But yeah, I'm gonna do, if you guys wanna, I have 6 or 7 cutters. And I can give you a little, thinking fingers. I can give you a little thing on those if you want. Okay, so now I am figuring out, see, I have my envelopes at 7. I'm figuring out what my chipboard needs to be. So I said 7.5. You can't see that real well, but it's 7.5. And my envelopes are 5.25, I think. And those, of course, are 5 by 7. So, doing 5.5 by 7.5. There you can see it. 5.5 by 7.5. Yes, thank you very much. And then a 2.5 inch by 7.5 inch. And I need 1 of the 2.5 by 7.5 and 2 of the 5.5 by 7.5. Okay, I'm going to go cut those. Alright, so this paper that's right underneath my hands is the paper that I showed you in the beginning with all of the little pattern on it. It was kind of pinky. I really loved that paper. The back side of it goes with the paper really, really well. So this is what I am ending up covering my book with. And so, it's just doing that tried and true method of putting 2 pieces of paper together so it makes it long enough to make your book. I can't imagine. I've got 3 dogs in this house, so I can't imagine what little piece of hair was on there. Come on. I guess I didn't get my scoreboard out to do this. I'm just using my lines to do this. Just going in 1/4 of an inch, making sure I'm lining it up across the bottom half all the way, and that will make it line up the way you need it. There we go. Let's give it a good burnish. Looking for my tool. Where'd it go? There it is. Woohoo! And there's the front. And I honestly don't know how I thought that went, because it's kind of a purpley pink, lavendery color. Purpley pink. Okay, so I've got my pieces here, and thinking fingers, and then wait just a second fingers. I bought this a while back, and this is too thick. This oh goodness, the chipboard is too. Oh, I got the glue stuck on it wrong, and then I'm bending the chipboard trying to get it off, and I just end up going with it. It folds out just fine. Yeah, not a real professional job there, let me tell you. Oh yeah, I'm just showing off my skills here. Usually I take the chipboard pieces and I put it into my Xyron machine, but this stuff is the chipboard books that you can get at Michael's Recollections, and they are super thick. However, they also are not, if you were to pick at it, you could just peel layers off of it. So you have to be careful on what you use it for, because if you're going to stress it out at all, it won't last. So if you're covering it with good cardstock, you're going to be just fine. There's not going to be any problems. Now this is a cheapo tape that is not nearly as strong, but for just putting the cover down, it works perfectly. I think I got it for $1. But it's good enough glue that it's going to hold. I mean, a good enough tape that it holds it to the to the chipboard. There we go. Searching for my words. I hear my parents downstairs stirring, so I'm trying to listen to them and talk to you guys and make sense at the same time. And I don't know how to pause this, and if they call me, I'm really going to be in trouble. I thought maybe I would picked a good time that they would be napping and I'd get this video voiceover done, but I don't know. They're up and stirring. It's 12 o'clock here, so they live by their stomach. Time to eat. Oh. Okay, so I've got that covered up, and now I was going to, I don't know, my parents must have called me or something away, but
So now I'm just going to use my 1/4" score tape to cover the rest, because I do want complete coverage, and I don't find with my glue that it works as well, and it could warp the paper. This cardstock that I'm using is pretty nice cardstock, but I don't want to warp it. I want everything clean lines with this thing, and kind of simplicity for this book. I want to embellish it. I want to kind of shabby chic it up, but not in a very simplistic way. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, I don't want wrinkles. Anyway, so now we're going to burnish all of these down so they really are adhering to the chipboard, and then the other side of it will adhere to the paper, and hopefully the two will stay. I'm just giving that a little extra burnish, but it's just fine. It does not show up once the paper's off of it. It doesn't show up in the book. Got stuck. And there was a little bubble right there, so I was just putting that bubble down, and a little piece of that because my straight job of putting it on. So okay, I'm just gonna get all that stuff off. Okay, this is the exciting part. I'm, like I said on this, I am going to be going over everything from start to finish. So this is going to be a fairly lengthy video. Okay, now I'm setting this aside because I didn't think things through before I was pulling all the sticky stuff off, and I have no guide to. Amazing how I remember what I was gonna do. I have no guide, so I'm using my Timmy, and I'm just getting an inch using the horizontal lines on the ruler. I'm measuring an inch from the edge of the paper, and you either put the black line just up to it, or you cover it completely, just up to the edge of the paper where you can see it touching the black line, or you put the black line all the way on it. However you do it, just be consistent with how you're doing it. And I want to make sure that I end up with the spine in the middle. So I'm making my marks, and now I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I've been getting my fingernails done, and I've enjoyed getting my fingernails done, but it does make the fingernails a little thicker. I don't have the fake nails, or whatever you call it. I'm just getting the gel, but it does make your fingernails a little thicker. So I've had to start using this because I can't get them. Can't get it on my own. And I watch one lady I really enjoy watching is Scrap Queen. She's very ingenious. She comes up with I don't know, different ways of doing things, and I've enjoyed watching her. But oh my goodness, her nails are super long, and I don't know how she can do that. It would just drive me nuts to have my nails that long, but it works for her. She likes it, so I'm more power to her. Okay, so the lines help me. I just am going to put it right back where it belongs, and when you have the sticky stuff, it just makes it easier if you have put some lines down there, if that's that's what's going to work for you. Now here Am I going to just eyeball it? No. Good girl. Good girl. I like doing this because I like having something that the paper will stick to inside that gusset. And I don't want to jam it up underneath at all. I want it to lay on the side of the spine piece, because I want a good full 1/4 inch to play with when I'm molding the paper down around the spine, so that it's got a good 1/4 inch to grab hold of. Okay, but at that point though, it does give me my 1/4 inch, but I'm going to go ahead and put this ruler down so I have a nice straight line to lay this on and work with my 1/4 inch. There you go. It don't get much better than that, ladies and gentlemen. And now I get the exciting watch this. Get this off. Get it off. Pull it. Pull it. Lay it down, girl. Come on. What are you thinking? You know, and anytime you've got stuff that's over the edge, just fold it back on itself. Oh my goodness, this is about as exciting as watching paint dry. I'm doing a voiceover on top of it. Jeez Louise, I don't know how you guys do it. Sit there and watch me do all this exciting stuff. But it is really important that if you don't have this and all you have is glue, that's fine. Use the glue, but make sure that you've got every nook and cranny completely covered. Take the top off, pour some glue out, and use a credit card and smother that all over the place, and then do a pulling off where you're going to pull off some of the glue so that you aren't soaking your paper, okay? Because you don't want to soak your paper, but you do want to get glue everywhere. But then just use your credit card and really pull off all the excess. Okay, so now we have a really straight, nice setup here, and I need to flip it over and burnish, and I'm being really careful because I don't want to poke or tear the paper, but I do want to make sure I have everything down. Burnishing is really, really important. Just be careful around the edges. Yeah, there's that. Almost poked a hole in there. Almost. Oh, I think I may have. I don't remember now. But it gets covered up with the. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I think I almost did, but I don't think I. Excuse me. All that gets covered up so you don't see it. But, and here I'm just starting to work the paper here, but I'm going to cut off 1 inch. Using my Timmy again. And you know, you don't have to be super worried about this, but I'm just lining it up so I've got 1 inch, and I end up having a nice inch all the way around. Right over that seam, it just needed a little bit more. Okay, and I've been doing really well at putting all my tools away too. I've been trying. Oh my gosh, you guys realize you've been watching me for an hour? Well, I hope you've been watching me for an hour. And I'm sorry that these are so long, but I wanted to try and get a few stages done so that you can just watch, get that part done, and then move on to the next step when the next video comes out, so that you can take your time and go back and watch all you need to. There's lots of great tutorials on how to do this. But a big thing is prepping your paper. If you have problems with it splitting, if you prep your paper better, see how I'm burnishing that? Doesn't mean it's not going to, but it really does help. And if you've got paper that you know really splits bad, then use some cardstock that you know doesn't. Cover your paper, and then you can put the cardstock on, like I do on the end of this one. You'll see I just lay cardstock on top of it. Now, I'm not saying that this cardstock can't make the fold. It could, but I didn't have enough paper to cover it fully with cardstock. Now, whatever paper line you're using, if you've got a lot of paper, you don't have to use cardstock and then cover it. You could just take your pattern paper at this point and cover your album. Okay, so you see here I'm just kind of doing an angled cut, and I'm trying to leave about 1/8 of an inch. I actually needed to leave a little bit more on this one. You're leaving the thickness, at least the thickness of the chipboard that you have, that you're using. And this chipboard was really thick, so I needed to leave a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. Okay, let me clean off the mess here. Now, I had already been working this, right? So the paper, as you can see, the paper's standing up because I've got a nice fold in it already. So now we're going to do our score tape. And I don't go over the spine part, the hinge in between the spine and the covers, because I want my inside sheet that I cover the inside of this with to actually go down into those valleys and stick to the score tape that's down in that valley in between on both sides of the spine. I think it makes it nicer looking both on the inside and on the outside. Now I'm doing both sides of the spine, and when I put the cover sheet on that covers the inside, you will see why I'm doing this. This really aids with what I was just talking about, getting that paper down inside that valley so that it's just nice and smooth and works well. And if I remember correctly, on this I had one that worked really well and one that kind of worked. In the end, it looked great, but it wasn't like the other one. So I'm sorry, all of a sudden I am stopped up. I guess I'm talking too much. Oh my goodness. But now again, very important, burnish down all of the pieces. And I think I am looking for my glue. Not sure. There we go. Oh no. Yeah, okay. We're going to put score tape on the outside of this page just so it's held down. You know, if you don't have score tape, you can totally use glue. You do not have to go out and buy score tape. Is it better? It it makes for a quicker process. I don't know that it's really better as long as you've got a good quality glue. However, using the glue, you have to really make sure that you don't have anything standing up. So you'd have to use like a credit card, because you want that glue to be as smooth and flat as possible and as little as possible, so that the paper will adhere but it won't warp it so bad. So having score tape does make it easier, and possibly it looks a lot better. But do you have to have it? No. So I'm going to go ahead and remove both of the Valley score tapes. And then I'm going to, I always do my long sides first, and I'm going to go ahead and remove each of these long side pieces. And then I'm going to pull back just enough of these side pieces so that when I pull the paper over, I'm sticking the paper down to the side pieces. But I'm not pulling them off because I'm not ready for them to be off yet. And remember, you don't want to get your fingers on the score tape as much as possible. Okay, now we're going to put glue, and I found I really like doing this. I put a light beading of glue right at the corner. Now, of course, I waited too long before I put the pin in there, so there we go. Just a light beading of glue. Yeah, I got a goober in there, and it won't give me any glue. Not quite that light. I'm trying to grab whatever's, yeah, there it went. There it went. I'm just rubbing the glue off my finger. So hopefully I think it works now. Yeah. So a light beading of glue just at okay, so I'm going to I put the light beading of glue just at the corners, and then a little bit of glue just to make sure that that part that doesn't have any score tape. Now I'm pushing that glue down, which also kind of wets the fibers and allows it to fold maybe a little better. Now I'm just folding the spine part down, and I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to work it so that it gets, and you want to be really, really careful about this, so that it gets down onto that score tape inside the Valley. But you don't want to rip it, so don't use the side that has a sharp edge to it. You want to use the rounded side, and you just want that to get down in there, and then go ahead and put everything else down. There we go. Okay, and then it's just flip up. There you go. Now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the opposite side here. Same thing. Now we're going to pull off all of the score tape backing. And I'm going to have to, while you watch this, I'll be right back because I have to go say something to my folks. Guys, I'll be down in about 20 minutes to do lunch, okay? Okay, and here we go. Putting the glue, nice little bead of glue on there. There we go.
Now we're going to do the same thing. Just kind of smush that glue up against the paper and up against the chipboard. And I'm going to pull the spine part over, and then we're going to work in, yeah, right in there. Get that valley down in there before pushing those other pieces down. There you go. And there we go. Okay, and then flip those little buggers back up there. Ta-da! Okay, so now we're going to do our corners, and we're going to do our corners, our ends of the books, not so much, well, they are the corners of the book as well, but and we're just taking off the two ends, and we're going to do the same thing, and we're just folding over. You just are going to grab those ends that we left and just fold them over. Make sure everything is laying nice and flat. Push it down, push the top, everything, whatever you need to do to make sure that it's nice. And I put a little glue on those corners so that they get glued down as well. Okay. And for those of you that don't ever get good sides, if you do it this way, you're going to get beautiful sides. Okay. And I just worked that really, really well in there. You see how I'm pushing on the side of it? I'm going to do it again once I finish everything, but it makes a beautiful edging on the book as well, doing it this way. Yeah, see, now I'm doing it the way I normally do. I've just put the glue in after. Now is when I push that little bit over onto glue. So now it's glued down, and it's not going to give you a huge problem. And whatever it is you need to do, just so that little edge, see, this one I left, I didn't cut enough, but it ends up getting covered up and looking just fine. And then really smush that glue in there, fold over your corners. It's a lot easier to do it on the ends of the book than it is on the long sides of the book, just because it's handled. But now I'm taking my edge and I'm flattening out around that chipboard, and it just makes that book, yeah, see, I'm taking an edge of my bone folder, there you go, and just giving it a nice flat. It just makes the book look very sharp, crisp, and clean, and squares everything up, especially around a matte board or a thicker chipboard. The medium chipboard works pretty nice too, but I just don't really work with that medium chipboard much. Yeah, there you can see. It just makes the book look really nice. And beautiful corners. Okay. Alright. There you go. Ta-da! So that's going to be my front, but that's coming up. So now we're going to use this. Oh, it's a little schmuch. I'm going to cut this down to size. Now all I do is you figure out what you want to show from underneath. I leave about 1/8 of an inch, and that's how I line things up. Once it's lined up, I take my pencil. I don't do too many measurements anymore. I think I'm gonna start, and I did some this video, but I know those of you that are that don't use inches. I need to
include you guys and kind of, I've got centimeter rulers. I'm not perfect with it, but I'm going to try. So I am going to try and come up with doing inches and centimeters, so that you know what it is that I'm doing. I've been seeing more and more people do it, and I just think it's probably time for me to do that. I think centimeters are much more accurate. I'm just trying to line this up so I get them both perfectly straight. And there we go. Ta-da! And I don't know why I grabbed that cutter instead of using my other one, but I guess I wanted to show you what or how I was doing this. Okay. And I think here you're going to see now why I have the edges around the spine both marked up the way they are. I mean, both stuck down the way they are. And here I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to cut so that I have everything covered. And I think I'm overlapping about an inch, and I'm just making a mark of where I'm going to cut this other paper. Putting all my tools away. I've been trying so hard to do that. Okay, so I'm just putting that mark right where I'm going to cut. And since there's really no interaction with this piece whatsoever, I'm going to go ahead and glue this part down so that it's out of the way. And I pull these off, and I shouldn't. And you will see me put it back in just a few seconds. Well, in a minute or two. Yeah, well, okay, just a few seconds. I'm like, what the heck did I just do? Why did I do that? So, here we go. Putting it all back. Oh, Lord. I tell ya. It's always something. Always something. And I didn't edge anything on the cover. Because again, clean lines. I just wanted this nice soft beige. I love this color, whatever color it is, vanilla, I don't know, but it's I really like it. I don't mind the other side of it, but I can't think of what I'd use it on, but I can definitely, and I've got a bunch of this paper. This was when I did a haul video a while back when a store was closing, and I bought all the 8.5 by 11 paper she had left. Somebody had already purchased all the 12 by 12. Well, actually, I was in line to purchase the 12 by 12, and a lady that does classes said, "Oh, well, okay, I can't really use the 8.5 by 11." I said, "Well, you know what? I can. You take it." So I was a sweet girl. Okay. And if I think about it, I really need to put that last tape down. because I'm going to stick this paper to it. Yep, dummy. Yeah. Duh. There we go. I got it now. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm figuring out where I'm going to put glue. Because I don't normally do all of the score tape or run it through my Xyron for the inside cover. I usually do glue. And I'm also going to be pulling that first one off, but that's it. So now I'm going to give myself that 1/8 of an inch, do the one corner just right, line it up all the way up to the top, and you should be good to go. But you want to make sure that you're also lining it up with the paper that you stuck down. Now burnish that glue really well so that it doesn't show all of the squiggly marks, but be very careful that you do not stick right down into that gusset. Now I'm going to start working the paper against the inside front cover so that it rolls down along there, and it's starting to get caught into the score tape that's in the valley. Okay, now I'm going to work the spine side and get the paper to roll down into and make the full valley. See, now I'm getting where it is really stuck down all the way down into that valley. And it does make the paper a little warpy looking, but with the score tape and glue it works out just fine. Okay, now I'm going to pull the score tape off, and I'm going to glue all around where the score tape is, and I'm also going to glue the sides of the paper. Now I'm just kind of eyeballing how far up I need the glue to go. I'm going to make sure I've got some at the side of the paper, and then I know that I need the glue to go to there, so it just kind of makes sense to get both of them down. Alright, so now I'm going to make sure though that I've got a good hold, that I'm not pulling paper back up out of there, but I'm also getting the paper lined up with the other paper that's down there. And then just pull that down. Gotta work that corner a little bit. I don't know what just happened there. So you really want to make sure that this glue is drying nice and straight and that it's down really well. So now I pull that, but I'm not ready to pull that. Yeah, see, I remembered. I've got to first work the paper into, there you go. It's first I'm working it against the spine. You gotta know the thickness of your paper and what it can stand, but I'm working that down into the spine area. There's still a little bit. See, I was really pleased with one side and not really pleased with the other, but you know, it's a handmade item. You can't be fussing at yourself. Now I'm going to work the other side. Again, be very, very careful that you're not going to poke holes, because you are working this paper pretty darn hard. You want to make sure that we're still lining up. See, I still have not pulled my tape yet, and I haven't put any glue on it. I'm just making sure, like I should have done on the first one, that I had a nice fold on that paper before I laid it down. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull that out, and I'm gonna put the glue on for everything else so I can get this laid down. Squiggles, lots and lots of squiggles. Doing the squiggles, doing the squiggles. We all do that, don't we? I mean, everybody's got their own little method, but you watch people put glue down. Everybody's got their own little method. Okay, so checking it one more time, making sure that I am lining it up with that other paper. Really working that little bit of there we go. And then I'm gonna just really work those corners, and they come out nice and squared off. Make sure that glue's getting pushed around in there. And there you go. I think doing this makes it just look so much nicer. You know, more like a real book. Remember, you don't take it past that. If you take your books past that, which is not necessary, but you flatten that spine out both sides and stuff, you're going to get cracks. No matter how hard you work at it, you're still going to get cracks. So now we're going to take our pages and we're going to put them in, and then we will have our book completed from start to finish in an hour and a half. And that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome, if I do say so. And we've been doing this step by step, guys, so you can stop and start this as you need to if I'm moving faster than you can. And it's always good to watch these things through. Everybody's watch them through all the way, and then go back and do your step by step, because sometimes all of us make mistakes, and then we'll catch it a little later on and say, okay, don't you do this. And if you were playing along with us, oh dang. But that's alright too, because then you'll learn how to fix boo-boos. Okay, so the first thing that's going down is one of our cards, and I'm doing the 5x7 part of it towards the center of the book, and the shorter piece to the front of the book. Okay, and I put the score tape in the center, and then I'm gluing down on both sides of the score tape right at the fold. Okay, and here I'm trying to use my fingernail. Ooh, and I got it. Whoop whoop. So, oh, come on, you can do it. Look at that nice straight line. Don't get it on the score tape. Don't get it on the card. And see, I said straight line and I screwed it up. Okay, so again, I'm taking the short side. I'm kind of bending it over so that I have the front part of the fold, so I can match it up, and I'm kind of putting it just up to where the valley, the beginning of the valley on the spine side. So I'm lining it up right there, and you can either line it up right there or take it like a 1/16 of an inch off, because you have enough room at the front and the back of these. Now we're going to take one of our envelope pages, and you want that side that has the pocket and the little fold to the front. Now you can move those around if you want to, but you want to make sure that yeah, you want to make, I was trying to remember if I showed you the other way, but I don't think I did. If you do it the other way, it'll be kind of funky. So I would stick with doing it this way, where you have the pocket and all of the flips and flaps towards the front. Alright, and now the big thing is to line it up in the center as well as the ends, because sometimes the center part of it might buckle a little bit and you'll see the paper underneath. So you want to make sure you're getting that center down as well as the ends lining up. And now we're going to do another card, and we're going to do the same, the shorter end. Now this one, if you want to do the taller end first, you can. I just like the way that it lays where you see the papers, and it's probably easier to see. I don't waste anything. That little piece, I just had to use it up. Hey, score tape is expensive. Yeah, come on. Just get the little tool. Nope, I got, and unfortunately I had to do it twice. There we go. And, you know, I get the glue there. I don't put it on top of the score tape. I know a lot of people do that so that they have a few minutes, but to me it would diminish the actual score tape strength. So make sure you're getting this center and outside so that you can't see the paper underneath. And burnish it well. There we go. And now again we're doing our envelope page. So it's just card and then envelopes, card and then envelopes, and then the card will be the last one. And we'll have the basic book completed. And so, you know, at this point you're going to want to start pulling together laces and ribbons and eyelets and brads, anything that you have in your stash that goes with whatever papers you're using. I mean, I show you what I'm using, but yeah, see, I'm lining everything up now. It ended up that the envelopes were ever so slightly smaller than the cards were, but not even enough really to mention, but you don't notice it, but I did. But it's okay. Like I said, it's homemade. You can't be perfect. Okay. And we're just going to add our glue one more time. But guys, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining me, watching this video. And I hope you join me for the decoration and all of that goodies that come along with it. But again, it's going to be a start to finish. And look at my lovely hair. Yes. All my highlights in there and everything looks good. Sorry. Back up, girl. Back up. I stood up so I could see that one. See, and I ended up with a little 1/8 of an inch. So I could have backed off in the front just a little bit. But there I'm showing you how everything is. And that I still have to glue down. Okay, so if you didn't glue it down from the pocket, you have to glue it down. So I'm just showing you to make sure that that happens. And I think when I'm decorating, I get that glued down. So I go over it with you again And then there's the back side. Now here's the 2 cards, or the cards, and again with the envelopes. So that's the front side of the envelopes. So there's a lot of real estate on this. And then there's the back side of the envelopes, and then the cards again. So there it is, guys. Yes, please give me a thumbs up if you like this, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.